Play champ. Now, not the best of win rates because of the timing that we've seen Xiaohu pick it up. It was back when RNG are struggling at the start of the split, but he's still monstrous on this pick. It gives a ton of control to Wei in these early stages, but it's giving over massive power picks towards BLG. This is like phenomenal for BLG. Viego, very strong pick, probably the strongest pick on the patch, and Ziggs as well is the perfect champion for aiming in the bottom lane. He wants to play weak side. All he wants to do is farm it out and let all that attention from WeiWei go towards the top side.
So aiming with a strong scaling AP pick in the bottom side, and it looks like RNG going to answer in kind for Gala with this Varus, locking in this bot lane early, making sure they have a stable 2v2 in that bottom side. And you would anticipate BLG probably need to go for their support as well, just to make sure that they're not completely banned out.
I think the Nautilus. Like, if you go Nautilus here, yes, you kind of got to play a little bit more defensive in the lane, but when you get towards these actual team fights, that depth charge and also having the Mega Inferno Bomb on top is why we saw Ziggs coming into the meta against Varus. You lock him down, you one-shot him, and cool, job's a good one.
Well, it looks like BiuBiu is going to go for the Jayce instead, so that Viego could be WeiWei, could be Zeka taking that one. And now top lane bans come out for BLG. Usually we see BiuBiu getting the counter pick. This time around, they're going to go for the blind pick in the top lane. Well, potentially counter pick if Xiaohu goes for the Lee. And then just go for bans. Set him up for a good matchup regardless.
So I think the RNG got to keep banning away these supports. I think the Nautilus, the Thresh, more than likely going to be the next one. BLG, as you said, target banning the top side of the map. Now, Mundo taken off the board. You can't really take the Gwen here because, as we've seen, BiuBiu loves playing this Jayce into that Gwen matchup. So by default, already having the winning matchup there for BLG. Excuse me, sorry, for BLG. So for Xiaohu, I'm starting to kind of question, like, what do we see him go towards here? Like, a lot of his big picks are gone. Maybe something like this Akali, but even then, you really don't have the best of times in this top lane matchup.
Now, I don't know top lane matchups super well, Dagda. I am a play-by-play, but Irelia is something that can certainly find all-in windows against Jayce. I would love to see Xiaohu's Irelia, but there's a lot of AD on this side from RNG. They do need to get some AP somewhere on the map, so perhaps we'll see a different tune coming on out. Perhaps the Gwen has to be the option regardless. Is it Gragas locked in here?
And this is the old school pick for Xiaohu. The AP Gragas top, that Everfrost build, can push relatively well against the Jayce, means you're not really under too much threat of being a dove because it's really hard to actually like close that distance in on top of you. You got good wave clear. So it looks like from RNG's perspective, we're seeing this transition that we sometimes get from RNG when they're against teams that are very top focused. We saw it against FPX where they go, right, weak side tops for weak side top for Xiaohu. Let's just play around this bottom side of the map, and Cryin will go back towards, hey, we're going to nullify this mid lane matchup with the Orianna.
Yep, Orianna, very much a comfort pick for Cryin. He's more than happy to just go for a neutral lane, play somewhat of a facilitating role in that mid lane. And then over towards BLG for their final pick. You're expecting that Jayce to be up towards the top side. We kind of need a mid laner or maybe a jungler, depending where that Viego ends up.
I'm curious now, because you do... Okay. So this is actually a Trundle support. Not what I was really expecting. I thought that was going to be the potential Trundle in the jungle, but... this, for me, is a little bit curious, because I thought the biggest thing that was missing on BLG's side was actually some sort of engage tool, right? Because one of the big things about Ziggs is a CC chain that he can build himself around for these Mega Inferno Bombs. Massively lacking on BLG's side. So although you have some great long-range damage, and you've got the opportunity to reposition with the Realm Warp, you don't really have much ways of preventing RNG from getting in, particularly when you look at like Xiaohu coming in off of flanks, Wei being able to get in on top of you. I'm actually a bit worried that BLG, although they like correctly identified, hey, we can play to range, they kind of forgot, like, how do we stop the rest of RNG from closing that gap?
Yeah, it does feel like this is a complicated composition coming out from BLG. It feels like very high level of execution, but we have seen this team leveling up time and time again. Dagda, talk me through what the game plan is going to be here for RNG as we head into the game.
So we're talking already this weak side Gragas kind of coming through on top lane. So what we'll more than likely see is a lot of pressure down towards this bottom side of the map. And especially with that Trundle support, you're now leaving your Ziggs quite vulnerable, because if you end up with, you know, lockup coming through from this LEona, the Varus as well being able to get a good amount of damage over the top. He has access to Chains of Corruption as well. Stick a Lee Sin into the mix. It's one dead Wardle in the bot side. The only saving grace, I will say, is this early laning phase from the Trundle. Halo Blaze Trundle can tear through a Varus. If you end up getting a couple of these pillars in the right spots, you close the distance, a lot of damage and also just the setup coming through from Amy with the Satchel Charge could kill Gala. So you do have to be safe as Gala until Wei arrives.
See if Wei can find his way into that bottom side of the map, or whether WeiWei will be the way in this one, as I'm getting too carried away with the jungler names already. We'll see how this is going to go down. So much seeding leaning on this series. RNG versus BLG. RNG trying to guarantee themselves 3rd seed. They will do it no matter what the score. If they get themselves a win, RNG will guarantee themselves 3rd seed. BLG, they need themselves a win for seeding, but they also could do with a 2-0 because Top Esports might be able to challenge them for this one. So we'll have to wait and see. As you can see, this is Chinese for RNG will get top 3 if they win this match.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is such a big win for RNG, but I will say they're going to have to work cut out for them, because although we're talking about, you know, the potential for Wei to start playing down towards this bottom side, if we just look at lane matchups across the board, like BiuBiu has push in top side. Aiming will have control of bottom side, especially with that teleport that he can look to play around as well. So I think overall, you have opportunities here as WeiWei to try and control a lot more of this map, look to try and steal away these camps, and get to, you know, the later portion of the game where you've got this monstrous Ziggs, really strong Viego, and try and fight against RNG at that point.
Does feel like BLG running this kind of competition where, like you're saying, you want to keep the enemy at arm's length, but it is going to be difficult to try and make those plays. If you can get onto the objective early, be the ones that the enemy has to push into, then I can see it working out. But if you fall behind, if you lose tempo, this could be difficult to pull yourself back into the game without any of those hard engage tools that you're talking about.
And you're actually losing out on a bit of that early control that the Trundle can offer you, because he's actually gone for the Guardian here. You're not going towards the Halo Blade, so very defensive bot lane, but actually kind of shifts a bit of that control back over towards Gala and Ming in these early stages. So from a BLG perspective, actually having a little bit of a tougher time than I was expecting to try and get control over these early stages.
And it's interesting to see the jungle pathing as well, as you've got WeiWei moving up towards that top side. He's going to be able to shadow BiuBiu, go for the top crab, whereas Wei very much making his way down towards this bottom lane. Instead, we will just have a trade of scuttles. You expect just a complete normal clear from both junglers here into their scuttle crabs. And I want to quickly mention this Lee Sin pick for Wei, because we talked about the Olaf, we talked about the Xin Zhao stats as well, but his Lee Sin, still a 75% win rate this split. Still a 6.6 KDA. This is a pick that I feel like it's a rite of passage if you're a jungler in the LPL, that you have to be able to play Lee Sin, but Wei's is exceptional.
Yeah, and a lot of that is just because Wei's position on the RNG side is, hey, I want to play early game. I want to facilitate my laners. We talked about how important these first towers are for RNG. Early game junglers facilitate that, where he can play towards lanes, play towards these early objectives, knowing that he's got this champion that can do a hell of a lot in these early skirmishes.
We'll see if Wei's going to be able to have that impact. So far, quiet start to things as we see the junglers resetting here. A ward coming out from Wei onto the Gromp of WeiWei, which will be his next spawning camp. You can see WeiWei making a beeline straight down towards that bottom lane. It will be a moment until those camps come up, so perhaps an opportunity for a lane gank for WeiWei.
I also think he's tried to counter gank for the Lee Sin. You can kind of see, we talked about, look, we expect the Lee Sin to be playing down towards this bottom side of the map, and with the wave pushing out, low mana on aiming, it's more so, hey, I'm just going to let this wave push in, and then I'll fall back towards my own camps. And on the top, you can see actually Wei doing the exact same, except for his top laner. Both sides wanted to make sure that the weak sides actually get to reset and can pick up these waves that are pushing in.
It feels like a tense start to the game, doesn't it? Both junglers trying to five-head each other, trying to read what is happening across the map. Both of them warding the enemy Gromp before the reset. Both of them trying to shadow their laners in case there's any creative jungling from their opponent. Very much a battle of the mind as opposed to the mechanics in this one to start us off. But I just want to remind everyone as well how important this one is for RNG, not just in terms of the standings. We've talked about the standings. We know RNG will get third seed if they win this one, but RNG haven't beaten BLG since 2019 spring. This is such a crucial matchup for RNG as an organization. And it feels like BLG, again, they are the underdogs in this one. You expect RNG to be a favorite, but BLG, I think, is one of the most underrated rosters going into playoffs because their skirmishing is exceptional.
Yeah, I think the problem that we have for BLG is more so just kind of how inconsistent that has been. Because sometimes they look phenomenal in skirmishes. Other times we get ppgod who takes that step too far forward and dies. Like, he's the highest deaths of any support at 15. We might see one here.
Right, well, Wei jumps out of the pit with a wall jump here. WeiWei can pull this Drake out. And it looks like Wei will concede it completely. Doesn't move over, doesn't have priority in the mid lane. And BLG with a very nice answer. WeiWei reads Wei like a book, figures out what he's going to be doing on the map, moves over and contests the Drake. Very nicely done. Xiaohu actually using his ult in this top side as well, but BiuBiu's winning out this trade. Xiaohu could be in big trouble here. BiuBiu on this Jayce, blind picked it, got some bans and gets himself a solo kill onto the little tiger.
Big mistake coming through from Xiaohu. The belly bop straight into the minion means that he's got nowhere to escape and doesn't connect with the CC that might have been able to finish off that kill in the top lane. So BiuBiu, he takes the crown for the solo kill king in that top lane matchup with 22 solo kills now to his lane.
Yep, they were tied on solo kills before that one. They were tied first place. And now BiuBiu starts the game off with a first blood onto Xiaohu as a solo kill. Beautifully done. Let's take another look though, because as you say, the belly bot blocked.
Yeah, right into that minion, and maybe if you'd been able to get in there as Xiaohu, you might have been able to get a kill or at least get a good trade, but you can see nowhere to escape, can't run away, phase rush not enough. It means that he does end up falling, and again, CS lead coming through for BiuBiu. He hasn't even had to burn his TP to get back to lane as well. So now for RNG, who've been trying to put their eggs in this bot side of the map, or even in the mid lane, you can't really make that play because BiuBiu can react more than RNG can.
Nicely done here by BiuBiu to find himself the solo kill and now find a small gold lead for BLG with that 400 gold. And the thing is, this matchup will not get any easier for Xiaohu. This is going to be BiuBiu managing to find himself a pretty significant advantage now. And especially with Xiaohu's flash on cooldown, BiuBiu's flash as well, we could see the junglers start to lean towards that top side of the map. In fact, you can see both junglers will be pathing in that direction for now, unless I'm mistaken on the side of Wei there. Perhaps we could see some future action happening in that top lane as well.
Yeah, now, I want to also talk about the build that we usually see from Xiaohu on this, because a lot of people go, yeah, we get that tank Gragas build, right? Where you go like Frozen Fist and this kind of thing. That's not what we usually get from Xiaohu. He tends to play this more as an Everfrost build, use it as a pick setup, and especially when you're looking towards like Gala, Ming having these double CC follow-ups, Wei being able to get these nice kicks. Look for RNG if Xiaohu starts to fall behind to try and get these picks before skirmishes happen on this top side of the map. But it looks like with ppgod moving up, Gala also rotating up towards that top lane, RNG will start up this Rift Herald. Just bear in mind, Aiming still has the TP to join in, so this is still a potential of a 5v5.
Everyone moving over, aiming TPs to that tower in the mid lane. BLG want to fight. They don't want to give RNG anything to work with here as ppgod steps on forward, has the pillar available, subjugate available for him as well. Can remove a lot of those tanky stats from Ming. Herald down to 2,000 already as ppgod tries to move on forward, pillar in, but the Herald is taken. BLG look for the fight. Chains of Corruption goes wide. There's a shockwave, solar flare only onto ppgod. A great cast comes out, but it's not enough to finish the kill. And actually, it's BLG that start things off strong. Wei looking for more, but misses the belly bop. It's just a kill for BLG and a Herald for RNG.
ppgod barely survived off the back of that. I wasn't sure if Wei was going to follow that Sonic Wave, but in the end, Xiaohu gives his life for the Rift Herald, and it will set this Gragas further behind in the top lane, but now we got to see Wei utilizing this Rift Herald to get elsewhere on the map ahead so that Xiaohu's sacrifice wasn't in vain. But we're going to be looking at the replay here. RNG commit heavily towards this Dragon, and I thought, okay, maybe we'll get the turnaround, but Chains of Corruption miss, great shockwave, but Zeka manages to flash away, and look at the health bar here in ppgod. Sonic Wave connects, but they don't get to finish, and with Xiaohu going down, nobody on RNG wants to follow up with the fight.
Ming dropping a ward, trying to get vision control of this Drake because Dagda will get a Drake coming up in 50 seconds. BLG were the ones to get the first of the game. They're the ones with a minor gold lead as well. Nice little belly bop there from Xiaohu. That's how you win those trades. Denied to the skies from the Jayce. But you can see a million pings going on around that Dragon Pit. BiuBiu is not winning these trades. I'm amazed at how one-sided these trades are, considering the scorelines.
Yeah, Xiaohu just staying in behind the creeps and just finding these rotations off cooldown of his abilities. But here we go, RNG.
Okay, they can't quite go for it. The wave just cleared away. That's the power of the Ziggs as well, right? The wave clear that this pick brings to the table. Now BLG moving in to try and take vision control themselves.
And one of the things that we talk about with RNG so often is like they often don't care about these dragons because they're playing around topside. They're more about getting this first tower and snowballing from there. Like they have a 77% win rate when they get the first tower. Problem right now is they don't have any plates taken on this bottom side. Ziggs is clearing your waves all live long day. And that first tower take in trade of gold now versus potential power with the dragons isn't really going their way. So now we're seeing RNG going, hey, look, we can't make this play happen, but we'll just go towards the dragon off of the mid and bot priority.
They should be able to take this one with no contest from the side of BLG. So nicely done by RNG. And it has to be said, the pacing of this game so far feels very much like a much slower, much more cerebral game than we're used to seeing. And even from RNG, who I think can be accredited as one of the smarter teams in the LPL, it's usually fast-paced smart play, right? It's usually snowballing through the top side, but it's going to be BLG trying to do that. As Xiaohu's in trouble, has his explosive cask. What can he do with it? Knocks BiuBiu out, flashes back underneath tower damage on Zeka, but he's happy to tank up here and gets away with his life. Now, in the bottom side, RNG look to answer, but they've taken 2 tower shots very early on. Cryin denied! And RNG just can't get anything to work this game.
Yeah, nice try from Xiaohu to get something to happen. At least he gets the creeps, but the tower is being traded on the top side. Now, Rift Tower's still in the vicinity, so they can't try and make this work, but aiming, looking to clear out the wave.
This will be 4 plates taken by the looks of things with this Herald, but they won't be able to finish the tower. Importantly, BiuBiu pushing up in the top side in the meantime here. I'm curious how many plates he got. 3 for himself. Xiaohu's TP'd in, but WeiWei was just laying it. Wait, what a body bop! Xiaohu manages to keep himself safe there. BiuBiu almost goes down. I thought he was going to 2v1, but he's on the wrong side of the map here. And guess what? Zeka's going to head him off. He's got capital letters in his name, and he's ready to make the play. As Xiaohu going to fall into the loving arms of this Ryze. There's the root. Shockwave onto 2, but it will not matter as Zeka grabs a kill.
And Xiaohu not looking so hot in this game. Now, sitting on 0-4. It has been full attention from BLG towards his top side, but Xiaohu's been on the receiving end of so much of that damage, and now sitting behind in CES. This is not going to be the game plan I think RNG were coming in with. They haven't really been able to get an answer elsewhere on the map either, which is why we're sitting at a 2k gold lead for BLG.
Feels like BLG have read him like a book, but ppgod is caught out, taken out, gets his average of 1 death before 15 minutes, like we know he will. But BLG answer with a kill of their own, and now Cryin in trouble, trying to escape, trying to do some fancy footwork. He's getting chased down here. A lot of movement speed with that base rush, keeps him safe, and a great chain of corruption from Cryin to stop the pursuit. Nicely done to disengage by RNG. It's a 1-for-1 in the end.
But aiming's topside. He's managed to get that tower for himself. Now he's getting a ton of plates. He's going to keep pushing. Like, BLG are still winning this.
BiuBiu's in trouble here. There's a collapse. There's a TP coming out from RNG as well, but health bars are low. WeiWei might just be able to finish them all off. BiuBiu with the first kill. Cryin is back. He just escaped from there and he's TP'd back in. Now there's a bomb coming down on Xiaohu, who's 1 HP, and he can't go anywhere because of the minefields. Aiming is all over this game. And now Gala in all kinds of trouble. The Realm Warp in. RNG getting picked apart. It's a kill for Wei, but it's barely anything in comparison to what BLG are finding for themselves.
It is 6-1 in kills. The turrets are going in favor of BLG. The plays are going in favor of BLG. And now they can look to take another structure on this bottom lane. Not even that. They're clearing out the jungle of RNG in the meantime as well.
This is exceptional performance coming out from BLG here. We've got 3, 0, and 3 for Zeka. We've got 3, 0, and 4 for BiuBiu, and the man in the jungle, WeiWei, 1, 0, and 7, setting all of this action up. This feels like BLG knew exactly what to expect coming into this series. They come in with a super smart draft. They outplay everything RNG try and do, and they completely shut Xiaohu out of the game. He is 5 deaths right now. 0, 5, and 0. Dagda, if you ask me, that's an MVP candidate.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was looking at here, was just I'm going to ignore that, but looking over at the the way that BLG have played this, like you talked about before this, that like if BLG fall behind on this composition, it really starts to fall apart. Like, it's not looking good. But this composition ahead is obnoxious. Like, near like half healthing people, BiuBiu is hitting that point. You've got Amy who's going to be tossing the Mega Inferno bombs over the top as well. Like, this is going to become really difficult for RNG to actually try and defend against this. And although we said, look, there's not a huge amount of like CC enablement for likes of aiming or for like BiuBiu to hit these shots, there is a good amount of disengage where you've got like the pillar to try and stop RNG at least aggressing from the front. So we're going to need to start to see RNG making these clever plays off of TPs, finding flanks and closing the gap on towards BLG.
Herald down in the mid lane here. And with a Ziggs, you can always just satchel charge onto the tower.
Oh, wait.
Will the Herald actually get the charge? I mean, Wei has just committed suicide to try and stop the Herald. He's still got the charge. The tower still goes down. That is just a disaster for RNG. Just look at the gold difference. 6,000 at this point. As BLG are running away with this game. That is all 3 first-tier towers taken down. This will be a second Drake as well, which is going to be an Ocean Soul this game. And you're talking about, Dagda, how there isn't that much CC to set up for these skill shots, right? But when you're this far ahead and you can just set up on the objectives, you can just use the jungle. There are choke points that everyone has to walk through. You just lob everything their way.
And especially if you start to look towards sieges, right? You just siege up in mid lane. You've got your flanks covered with wards. It becomes really difficult to do. And this, unfortunate for Wei here, walks up, doesn't realize Zeka's there, Everfrost in the face, and he just gets shot down where he stands. So look, you can see here, right? BLG, they'll shove out side lanes, but quickly they'll start to congregate around this mid lane. They'll keep this 5-man unit together so they can continuously poke, push. And as long as we said RNG are in front of them, ppgod can do this.
Oh, Ming trying to walk away. Does have the Eclipse for himself. And now into the jungle we go as Wei tries to get involved in the fight. It's not going to happen. I think disengage from RNG here as BLG have a lot of gold to work with. They're 6,000 up at this point. Surely RNG are not going to try and fight this one. Surely they understand that they are too far behind to make this play happen. Smite comes in, Wei overextend for this one, the Trundle pillar, and now the Heartbreaker. Great Dragon's Rage though to disengage from the play, but they still just lose the blue buff. RNG gain nothing, and now pressure onto the top tier 2.
And BLG are playing so well around these waves. Zeke could just push this one in. Now again, they're grouping up with several members. BiuBiu is going to start pushing this side, and there's the damage we talked about from the Ziggs.
This is just brutal. What do you do? How do you stop this siege? Nobody can get anywhere near to aiming. If he can get his passives off onto the tower and then a W a little bit later on, they will finish this tower off, and RNG have to back away. The damage is too great. The Leandri's already finished. He's well on the way towards a Zhonya's as well. He's almost at 2 items. We're at 20 minutes into the game. Aiming is taking over, and it's important to mention that we talked a lot about BiuBiu versus Xiaohu at the start of the day here, but aiming is so often the guy that has to carry for BLG. Despite usually leaving the lane with a deficit, he almost always offers about 30% of the team's damage.
And it's because a lot of the times we see him on these like weak side bot laners, right? Ezreal is most played pick. Ziggs now kind of starting to creep up there as well, but in this game, he never even fell behind. He was shoving in lanes. He moved up top side, got that big win for himself by getting all those turret plates, picking up the blue buff now for himself as well. Like, this is now where aiming is in prime position to take over this game. And I think, as you kind of mentioned earlier on, Munch, this is BLG coming in with a really intelligent draft, and RNG kind of fumbling a little bit in the draft as well. Like, going for this early Lee Sin pick hasn't really done very much, whereas that Viego, the strongest pick on the patch in my opinion, going across the BLG, they pick up that early Ziggs as well, knowing, hey, look, you can try and play this weak side bot, or sorry, play towards this bot side if you want, but we got Ziggs, like, he's just going to clear the wave and you won't get anything from it.
And just look how fast this tower will fall with the Ziggs satchel charge there. They can just annihilate the tier 2. That is 4 towers taken. They're 8,000 gold up almost. I guess it's close to 7. I'm getting too far ahead of myself here. I'm getting excited because BLG are just completely taking over the game. 2 items already, as we mentioned, on that Ziggs. And you can see the resets coming on through. BLG in a position of power here. And we're starting to get towards the questions here, Dagda, of what does RNG do? How do they get themselves out of this funk? Because we're past 20 minutes now. Baron is on the map. RNG almost 10,000 gold down. They're on a 9-win streak. This is the team that people are saying are a favorite to win the entire LPL. And BLG are destroying them right now.
Yeah, I think the big thing now for RNG is looking for picks, right? We talked about Xiaohu on this Gragas. This Everfrost build is built around looking for picks, TPing in, finding those flanks, setting up for these nice opportunities. But the issue is, look at how BLG are playing this, right? They're playing it slow, they're grouping as a unit, they're not giving the opportunity for RNG to try and find these fancy plays with like deep TP wards or some of these other plays that could catch BLG unaware. Instead, they're moving together, using that siege potential, and now with Dragon about to spawn in 45 seconds as well, they can threaten in towards the jungle of RNG and just poke them out the whole time as BLG are taking vision control.
I want to quickly talk about items again here, as we've got 2 finished off in the mid lane for Zeka. We've got 2 in the top side as well for BiuBiu. Across all 3 lanes, BLG have multiple items on their carries at this point. I want to quickly mention how great of a game we're seeing from Zeka here, when we've started to get to know Zeka as this guy that really excels on the bruisers, not so great on these majors, but today on this Ryze, he is easily outperforming Cryin, who's not really been able to have much of an impact on the Orianna.
Oh, Xiaohu.
Wait a second. That's the wrong side of the map. How many times has Xiaohu been on the wrong side of this matchup in this game? It feels like plentiful amounts, as he will be able to slide over the wall. Not an overcommitment here from BLG. They realize Drake is up. Xiaohu is trying to distract them. So they disengage. They move to the bottom side of the map.
And RNG, they don't look like they're going to try and contest this, right? They don't have any priority in either bot or mid. Xiaohu is struggling on the top side of the map. And yes, you could TP him in, but to where? Like, you don't have vision control anywhere. So RNG gives this up. Instead, they're going to use this opportunity to get vision control of Baron. And for RNG, like, as we said, this is about closing the gap and finding cool ways to interact with BLG's composition at melee range. Like, no one on BLG is going to really be able to withstand a burst combo if Xiaohu's, like, toss someone back into the team. But you're not getting these wards where you can look for that play.
Oh, aiming's just... Everyone's just keep walking over the control ward. It doesn't matter, though. Cryin falls for the trap. Zeka and ppgod just waiting at either side of the tower. And then we see the bomb fly over from aiming. There's another tier 2 taken. Another Ocean Drake taken. Everything on the map being taken by BLG. And, you know, this is a team that we wanted to see more from in terms of playoff form. This is not a team people are seeing as a favorite, but here we go on to ppgod. The denial from aiming is beautiful. And nothing can happen for RNG. They just can't find a window. The Heartbreaker out from WeiWei, sorry. Even the Flash as well. BLG get away.
And at this stage now, you need to start rotating around the map here as RNG. Xiaohu needs to be on this bottom side so we can use that TP to get here. But BLG, they've been playing this so incredibly well, right? As you said, denial from aiming on that engage. Constantly getting vision control before they walk anywhere. Making picks with Zeka. And if you continue this road as BLG, well, I mean, the gold lead kind of speaks volumes about where we're at. 9,000 gold lead already picked up for themselves. The opportunity to, like, again, start poking even more and more. It's not like the key members of this team fall off anytime soon, right? You know, BiuBiu still going to be relevant for a large portion of this game without a tank coming through an RNG side. You're getting this Viego coming online. Ziggs has just finished the Horizon focus. He is so strong with that item.
It is terrifying. Honestly, the Horizon focus spike.
He'll nerdy one-shots
just... It is mind-blowing. Every Q is going to do like half of someone's HP if it's at long enough range at this point. Ming taking a shock blast here. The poke is insane. Ming goes in to start the fight onto WeiWei. Shockwave onto WeiWei as well. But that's it. They just don't have the damage. RNG trying to find a pick here, but it just won't happen. And Zeka, he's behind everyone right now. He's pushing in this bottom lane. Realm Warp available if he wants to try and make a flank play, but BLG don't need to. They are in no rush. They have no pressure on them to force a play here. RNG's play already failed. They don't have any hard engage remaining, so BLG can just chill. They can relax. They've got a soul coming up in 2.5 minutes, and they know it.
I think Wei got bumped by the satchel charge in that last fight, which meant he couldn't follow up on the Sonic Wave. He was out of range of it, which meant he maybe could have got onto aim. It wasn't quite. Now BLG are sieging up once again. Chains of Corruption.
Overextension from ppgod here. Ming follows up Xiaohu into the play as well. They're desperately trying to finish this Trundle off, but he stole all the tanky stats, and he barely lives through to the end of the fight. Here we go, Everfrost in. BLG losing out on this one as it's 2 kills for RNG to start us off. Looks like RNG can't follow on for too much more. ppgod stepping too far forward, and WeiWei falls for his trouble.
And you can see, like, if RNG can actually close the gap, Shockwave mid does not connect onto aiming, but if you can close the gap here as RNG, you do have a chance. Like, again, nobody's really tanky enough to try and deal with the initial engage and the burst damage that can be provided by RNG, so they can very quickly pick off 1, maybe 2 members before a fight starts, and then turn the tides a little bit. And you can see it here, right? ppgod too far forward. Although he steals the stats coming through from Ming and does survive quite a while, if BiuBiu doesn't flash there, it's BiuBiu and ppgod dead, and maybe this is the fight that RNG need, but not quite able to do so, but it'll still be a 1-for-2 trade, all said and done.
Nicely done by RNG. A really crucial window for them to find. They are still 8,000 gold down though, Dagda. I don't want to get too excited just yet. They've got a long, long way to go if they want to be able to win this series and win this game. But it is a minute until this ocean trade comes up, and it feels like RNG could have done with some time, right? Feels like they could have done with a little bit more space to buy some items, to get stronger on the carries. But hey, they do have 3 items for Gala here. They've got 2 items for Cryin, which is a big spike for the Orianna. Maybe there's a window. Maybe a big enough shockwave with a chain of corruption, some arrows going in. Maybe it's possible, but we talked about BLG. If they're on the objective first, it's difficult to contest.
Yeah, no flash for Xiaohu means he's not going to be able to, like, body slam someone very quickly and get that big engage that you need. You've already got the push in bot side and vision control here for BLG in the jungle, but WeiWei.
Flash forward from Gala. BiuBiu's in trouble. There's the Sonic Wave as well. Can they finish the kill? The answer is yes. RNG, 2 picks back to back. And now a heartbreak is BLG looking for Xiaohu in the jungle as well. Shockwave onto 2. It's 1-for-1 so far, but RNG are grouped up. They might be able to find themselves a fight. Aiming behind everyone. He has a lot of damage from these bombs. Ming behind him flashes to get the stun, but he answers with his own life here. And WeiWei trying to close the gap. He's pretending to be LEona, but it was all a trick. It's Viego all along. And he will go down in the end. The damage not there from aiming. BLG trade 2 for 2. Can they get the Drake for themselves here? They don't have a smite available, but Wei cannot contest.
Well, Wei's starting to move in now. There's the TP. Round 2, Munch.
Time to see who gets the Drake. It is going to be the soul taken by BLG. 3v3 here with an Ocean Soul and a gold lead. Surely BLG will take this one. Cryin goes down. Wei goes down. Gala left alone in the world, and he ults too early. The pillar is perfect. Get out your hymn books. It's time to praise ppgod.
And BLG will get the Baron off of this place. Well, the soul to BLG, the Baron to BLG. And you thought this siege was obnoxious before? Well, this is about to get a whole lot worse. Who? What?
What? Xiao, what? I don't know what that TP was. He's trying to buy space, trying to buy time, but it's going to do nothing. As BLG get onto the Baron themselves, and they only need a couple of people to do this one. You can see BiuBiu still just pushing in the mid lane because there's no one available to contest. Baron falls. Mid lane tier 2 falls. There is just inhibs. There's just a base remaining for RNG.
And you can see here, this was actually a really nice start to this fight from RNG, right? Flash forward from Gala with the Chains of Corruption. Perfect follow-up from the rest of the team here as well, and they finish off BiuBiu. The problem is, it was the go button for BLG on this bottom side as well. Xiaohu gets caught between several members here. Cryin doesn't really have the damage to finish people off, and WeiWei, he's just getting these resets right, left, and center in this fight. This is the perfect scenario for a Viego where he's just finishing off members in low health skirmishes. It's not really an upfront 5v5, and he's just running amok here, finishing off RNG.
Nicely done, and it does go down in the end, but it doesn't really matter. That's the problem. Oh, we're already into the action. Wei's been caught out. Gala's been caught out. Everybody on RNG has been taken out. Xiaohu falls for the 7th time this game. Xiaohu has been the entire story of success for RNG this split, and BLG have completely obliterated the RNG playbook here. The towers will fall. BLG break open the base, and they're not showing any signs of stopping here, Dagda. 4 members strong. BLG will break down the Nexus towers. Ming doing everything he can to hold the gates, but it's just not going to happen. A 4-man shockwave, but it simply does not matter. BLG take game number 1 against RNG.
And in such dominant fashion as well. This felt like BLG taking their style and turning it up to 90. Absolutely tearing through Xiaohu in that top side of the map. Aiming, being able to clear out all these waves on bot side meant that you're winning top. RNG find no answer in the bottom lane, even when they get these objectives like the Rift Herald, and there's no first tower taken for RNG. They don't get to play their style, and Xiaohu is falling further and further behind in the top lane. What a performance, and what a draft from BLG as well, reading exactly what RNG were trying to do.
This series, or this game, sorry, was all about the pre-preparation in my mind from BLG. My hat is off to you, Coach Kim. If I had a hat anyway, I'd take it off. Really, really impressive performance out from BLG. Clearly knowing exactly what RNG want to do, both in the draft and in the game, and playing pretty much a full counter strategy. And this is the downside of being a team like RNG, where they do play pretty much one strategy for the majority of their games. If you go against a team that knows how to play around it, it can become very difficult very quickly.
Yeah, and I think there was a couple of key decision makings here for BLG that really solidified this draft for me. Like, one, the early pick of the Viego and the Jayce made it like really difficult for RNG to find any sort of answer. Like we talked about it, where it's like, look, you go towards Gwen, good matchup for the Jayce, you're already winning there. You banned away a ton of the other picks as well. There's not really much left for Xiaohu to go towards. The other big one was the Ziggs. And I think if we'd seen a scenario where, okay, well, we got Xiaohu playing weak side, but we get to see the MSI RNG, where they can still play towards Gala, they get these early towers for him, they start to rotate him around the map, that works wonderfully. And we saw RNG trying to get that plan in action, use the Rift Herald bot side, but there's a Ziggs. Ziggs is like, cool, one bomb, there goes the wave, what are you going to do about it? Like, there's no way for them to set up this play, and it felt like everywhere that they moved, RNG just found themselves in a checkmate.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, we were talking about our aiming. On average, gets like 30% of the team's damage. I feel like it could be even higher than that in this game, because the amount of work he was doing with these bombs across the team fights. Also, I just want to, look, I'm a bit of a Ziggs aficionado. I love the pick. I've been really excited about seeing it more in the LPL.
Aficionado's a strong word, I will say.
This is how you play Ziggs as a team. Like, Ziggs is a team pick. You have to play through the Ziggs. You have to enable him to get tower plates. We saw him play bot, then move up to the top lane, taking multiple towers around the map, and then playing through these jungle chokes where your minefield does so much work, your satchel charge does so much work. If you're in a position where you can use that satchel charge aggressively, like Aiming did pretty much every single fight, you know that Ziggs is being set up well for success by the team.
Yeah, and I actually think this is one of the games where I wanted to see Varus taking the teleport. It felt like a lot of these early plays, you just had that TP available for the Ziggs, so he's pushing top lane, but available for the bot lane dive. I felt like in this scenario, like, yes, you had the heal for Varus, but did it really do a huge amount for you? Like, there wasn't a huge amount of CC that you really had to worry about in this game either. I think the TP to try and answer for the Ziggs could have been really useful in that scenario to just match a lot of where Aiming was, but I think Aiming, phenomenal performance on the Ziggs, even if it was kind of the a little bit quiet in the early game. Like, a lot of that was focused on BiuBiu, who was just decimating Xiaohu. I think Ziggs was and Amy were a bit of the unsung hero, because it stopped RNG from making any sort of other plays, allowing BiuBiu and also WeiWei to just run away with this top jungle matchup.
I want to dig into that top lane matchup a little bit more as well, Dagda, because it felt like Xiaohu mechanically was actually somewhat winning out the 1v1s. Like, we saw a little bit later on into the lane that he was pretty consistently winning the trades against BiuBiu, but it was that one time that Xiaohu makes the misplay, hits his body slam onto a minion, BiuBiu immediately just pulls the trigger and gets the solo kill. That is how you know that this is a high quality top lane matchup, because the split second someone makes a mistake, it will be punished. You can have a guarantee on that one. We're going to jump into a break. We're going to find out if BLG can continue and close out this upset over one of the entire tournament favorites right after